It's a show Yang Wrestling, Jazzy Yang, and this is the Fan View Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans View Podcast. Today, I am so excited to have on, for the first time ever, a guest who has been lighting up the independent circuit since 2018 with her speed, charisma, and a deep wrestling legacy. She's worked all over not just the country, but the world, honing her craft and getting better every time she comes through that curtain. Please welcome Jazzy Yang. Jazzy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for that intro. That was good. That was a good one.
I try. Got to give the woman her due respect. We're just gonna jump right into it, Jazzy. Let's start with the obvious. Wrestling runs in the family. What was it like growing up with your dad? For those who don't know, was Jimmy Wang Yang in the WWE, Akio in WCW. What was it like growing up with a pro wrestler as a father?
So for me, it was normal because it was my dad, so I didn't know anything else. So for me, it was really it was normal, but I did have a lot of people like ask for my dad's autograph, and like I learned how to do my dad's autograph really young, so I would like forge it sometimes, which is not okay. You shouldn't do that. But I was in like fourth grade. But besides that, yeah, he was on TV while I was in school, so it was pretty cool. And then you always have the haters.
Oh
So
yeah.
you have so I think every wrestling fan knows when they're in like elementary school having to defend wrestling. But yeah. But for me
Imagine
it was normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I imagine that's turned up to the nth degree for you because your dad's
Yeah.
actually on TV and doing it.
So
Um, was there ever a time that you thought, like, I'm not going to be a wrestler, I'm doing something completely different, I don't want to do this? Or was wrestling always kind of the goal?
so when I was like really little, like watching my dad wrestle would scare me because it's like watching your dad get beat up. So I was always scared like to watch my dad wrestle, but I've always loved women's wrestling. So I would always love to watch like Mickey James, Melina, Natalia, all those girls. So I feel like I always knew I kind of wanted to do something, but then once I got older and got the opportunity to go to Japan and wrestle, I was like, oh, this is what I really want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that itch has always been there. Wrestling is just in your blood.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember that moment where you kind of said to yourself, like, yep, this is what I'm doing, this is my path, there's nothing else for me?
So when I was 15, Kaz Hayashi or Nozawa reached out to my dad and asked if he wanted to go to Japan and do like a Young Dragons reunion and everything. My dad was like, "Yeah, I'll go. Can I bring my daughter just for me to like sightsee and just experience Japan?" And they're like, "Oh no, she can come. She can have a spot." So I had to train really hard for this spot, and then I did it, and I was excited. But once I did it, and I was out there in front of the crowd, and then after like fans coming up autographing, that's when I was like, "Oh yeah, this is really fun. This is what I want to do for sure."
So
Yeah.
you kind of touched on Japan a little bit. You have been, I mean, all over the place. You name it: MLW, NWA, GCW. Like you said, Noah. You've been all over the place. There's a lot to choose from, and I hate to put you on the spot, but is there like a standout moment or match so far in your early career?
So I loved Noah because I was the first female gaijin to wrestle for Noah. So like I felt like that was a big moment, like them using women and being able to be in Japan and do that. But I also loved going to Puerto Rico and fighting for their WWC Women's Championship. So that was really fun as well. So like one of those two are probably my favorites right now.
Love that. And to kind of reframe it a little bit, for somebody that doesn't know who Jazzy Yang is yet, somehow, I don't know how that's possible, but somehow, they're living under a rock. Can you kind of maybe describe your in ring style? And then if you were going to point somebody in the direction of, like, you've never watched Jazzy perform, go watch this match. what match would you tell him to watch?
So for my style, I would say I'm kind of all around, but I did take like jujitsu and like I know some amateur wrestling and that stuff, so I always try to incorporate jujitsu and stuff into my wrestling, and I love chain wrestling. Like I'm very technical. I love the technical side of wrestling, but I also love a little bit of high flying. Got to because my dad.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
I moonsault, crossbody, stuff like that, and just really I would love to be like an all around person and be able to do everything. And then if you wanted to watch, if you could only watch one match, the first one I would put someone onto is probably me versus Clara Carter at KFW for Crossfire Promotions for Kinsey Page and Kylie Page's their promotion. I had a really good match with Clara Carter. She's amazing, an amazing wrestler as well.
Love that. Recently a guest on the podcast. Love that cheap plug, Jazzy. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Um, you've got a really unique presence, like you said. You've kind of borrowed from your dad, but you also have like that chain wrestling background, that shoot background, that gear, the energy, the attitude. How did you kind of develop the Jazzy Yang character, and how much of that is you turned up to 11?
So when I first started, like I for like a heel character, my dad's favorite movie of all time is the last Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. So I watched it a lot growing up, and Shona from the movie is like the best pro wrestling character there could ever be, really. So like that's how I started. I started like trying to be that character completely. Like that's like my heel character as well. The Show Yang of wrestling comes from Shona. But then as I go on, I also like to incorporate a lot of my Korean side because I am Korean. So I love like K dramas, uh, K-pop, everything like that. So I also try to incorporate that as well. And then yeah, it just kind of all meshes together
I love
as
it.
me, as me.
I,
Yeah.
I love that. Being a second generation, that comes with, obviously, it opens doors. I spoke to Teal Piper one time, and she put it pretty well. When you're a second generation, third generation legacy, talent like you are, the doors open twice as easy, but they also slam twice as fast. Do you find that being second generation, you have like a certain pressure that you have to live up to? Especially your dad was not a slouch in the wrestling business. So what's that pressure like to kind of follow in his footsteps?
So for me, it's always like you get, I always appreciate people who are first generations because it is so hard to get your foot in the door and to find good training, a good trainer. So I'm always appreciative of being like a generational wrestler. I don't first generation wrestlers I appreciate it so much, respect it so much. That is hard to do. But a second generation wrestler, I feel like a lot of the time you get like people think you just get opportunities because of who your dad is or your legacy, or your dad or mom, whatever, but who your
Yeah,
dad is a lot of the time. So when I get the opportunities, I have to make sure I perform 110%, make sure I'm perfect on everything because they already are going into it thinking that I'm just getting this because of this. So I have to have a chip on my shoulder and prove like, no, I deserve this 10 times more. So that is
absolutely.
one of the pressures that come with it a lot.
Hey, you. Yeah, watching this right now. I see you. If you're enjoying what you're watching, I've got one quick favor to ask, and it only takes a second, costs you nothing, and makes a huge difference. If you could go ahead and hit that like button, maybe drop a comment. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Doesn't seem like much, but for small creators, it's everything. So let's help more people find this channel and keep the content coming. And honestly, I'm pretty sure the podcast will be really grateful. So if you're having fun, you like what you see, make it official, click those buttons, and the Fans View podcast, we'll see you next time.
Wow, yeah, and that's absolutely. I love to talk to second generation, performers because they do have that unique perspective. Um, is there a piece of advice that maybe your dad's passed? And I'm sure he's a fountain of information and
Yeah.
knowledge. So I'm sure there's been a lot. But is there like a piece of advice maybe that your dad's passed down to you that kind of sticks out in your head?
For me, my dad's biggest thing is that everything in wrestling is important. from like the way you come into the show, your etiquette, your chain wrestling, everything in the ring, your promos, everything, your gear. Like everything is important. Some people think, oh, this one thing, this move is important, but it's really everything. There's so much that goes into it. So that's probably the main advice that my
For
dad gives
sure.
me.
For sure. So to kind of pivot towards the future, you know, who are some of your dream matches right now? Because obviously you're still working the independent scene. Who are some of your dream matches strictly on the independent circuit?
So strictly on the independent circuit, I would really love to wrestle Masha Slamovich, even though I know she's signed to TNA, but I would love to wrestle her. Um, I would love to go back to Japan. Anybody, I would wrestle anybody there.
Just anybody. I love it. Just Japan in general. Just Japan.
Yeah, just anywhere. I really want to go back to Puerto Rico and wrestle their new champion, Elaine is her name, and then yeah, I would just wrestle anybody, everybody. I'm trying to think. I'd love to wrestle Kid Bandit. Love to
Okay.
wrestle Kid Bandit, yeah.
Just line them up, huh?
But my goal is me and my dad versus Ariana Grace and her dad.
Love that. That's fantastic. And that kind of brings me to my next question. So that was a perfect segue. If we can open it up, any company, any era, who is Jazzy Yang's dream match?
Well, first that one because I feel like it has to be done because father daughter, and then we could even
Absolutely.
make it like Charlotte and Ric Flair. You know, we could just make it a whole triple threat tag team matchup. But I would love to wrestle if it's anytime, any like from past, present, future. I would love to
Yeah.
wrestle Victoria. Love her,
Okay.
everything about her.
Okay.
Melina, Mickey James, and yeah, just I would love to wrestle Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, like really anybody.
I
So,
love it. You're a young lady, so thankfully we got plenty of time to knock that list
yeah.
out.
Oh, I can't forget. I can't forget. I would wrestle Chigusa Nagayo.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's next for Jazzy Yang? Do we have any promotions or matches or any goals for the rest of this calendar year that we're focusing on?
So I know I have a couple shows coming up for Lariato Pro Wrestling, which is Festus's company, and then DWA is Dynamic Wrestling Alliance. It's in Georgia. They have shows on like Krog Street. That's coming up, and that's about it right now. I think my goals for the rest of this year is to just keep on going with my social media because I know that's a really important part
Yeah.
in today's age. Just keep going with that and just keep honing in my craft and trying to get noticed.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I have to call it out because I love that you just referred to him as Festus. I love that. That just popped me so huge, and I was trying not to step on your answer.
No.
Oh my God, I love that. I bet he loves it too. um, it's funny you say that, trying to get noticed is, and I know the answer to the question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is the WWID something that's on your radar?
Yeah, I would love to do the WWE ID any chance for anything. I would do it because I feel like WWE ID it gets you a lot of exposure. Like even if it's not like fully on the roster, I feel like it would help me a lot with exposure. And yeah, I would love to do it.
Okay. So this is the Fans View podcast, obviously, Jazzy. So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what are you a fan of when you're not kicking ass in the ring, when we're stepping away from the building? What are you a fan of?
I'm a fan of reading. I love books. I love fantasy romance. I love books about fairies, epic fantasy. That and I love watching. I love binge watching TV shows. I love K dramas. Um, I also like trashy TV, like the Kardashians and like the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Love that.
But
I appreciate the honesty. That's what we're
yeah,
missing. I love the honesty. and last but not least, this is one of my favorite questions to ask my guests because with the fans, like the whole reason I started this podcast was for people to kind of get to know the performers outside of the ring, like who they really are. And I think this question, it really kind of gets to the heart of that. And that question is, at this point, not only of your career, because it doesn't have to be wrestling based, but of your life. You're a young woman, who's excelling in her field. What does the term success mean to you?
For me, I feel like success is just being happy with who you are and being able to be alone with yourself and like being okay with yourself. Yeah, just being happy. Like not everything can be going your way, but you're still like content with, like, you're still happy. Yeah, I feel like and you're having fun. The most important thing is just to have fun with what you're doing. Yeah, life's a climb, right?
I love it. I love it. Hey, those little catchphrases and stuff, like they're there for a reason, because they're legit.
Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, just don't hit us with a live, laugh, love, and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, so where can people get a hold of Jazzy Yang? Obviously, you let us know you're going to be working, in northern Georgia, northwest Georgia.
Just all around Georgia, like
all over Georgia. There we go.
Really southeast, Tennessee, Alabama. Yeah, anywhere around southeast.
And you never know. I'm living proof. You never know where you're going to bump into Jazzy Yang. So keep your eyes peeled. Where can people get a hold of you? You said, social media is kind of on your radar this year. Where can people get a hold of you?
So Jazzy Yang on Instagram. TikTok is Yun Sauce 3. It's pretty cool. And then Twitter and Facebook, Jazzy Wang Yang.
And I know you have a site to buy pictures and t-shirts, correct?
Yes, jazzyang.com.
There we go, people. She makes it easy for you. I was actually just perusing it because I'm going to have to make some purchases this afternoon. So make sure to go support Jazzy. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I know your schedule is crazy. So the fact that you could carve out a little time for the fans, really, it made my day. So guys, go follow her on socials. Go buy jazzyang.com. Buy a t-shirt, stickers. She's got it all. She's got music on there. Like, go support her. Go support her. You never know when she's going to pop up and blow, and you want to be in at the ground floor.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, Jazzy. Thank you so much. And hopefully this is the first time of many appearances on The Fans View. Guys, until next time, like I said, show Jazzy some love. Show The Fans View podcast some love. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You know all the podcast things. I don't have to tell you guys at this point. But most importantly, I tell you every week, call your mom.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, you're going to be joking me.